Day 20. All right. So I had a request to bring back the goals, so I'm going to. Thinking about these goals here. We should try to probably Never fails. Battery low every second. I love these headphones. I've had these headphones for a couple years now, and they're just Turtle Beach. They're just wireless. They're just wireless Turtle Beaches, and they're great. But whenever there's a low battery, this woman just starts spamming your ear with battery low, battery low, battery low, like just over and over and over. Not like once every 45 seconds, not once every 30 seconds. It's like every 5 seconds. And it makes your blood boil. Like, it's unbelievably annoying, and there's no way to turn it off. And apparently I'm the only one who ever has a problem with it, because anytime I've looked up, like, try to find solutions, no one's complaining about it. I'm, like, apparently the only one who minds it. Okay, so I got these goals here. Let's try to get these posted up here. We're gonna do a window capture. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll do a, I think we can do this. Let's see, we'll move it down a little bit. And we'll do we can do like a filter crop. Why is it so slow? There's 260 maybe. Top, we can just do. Oh, top's fine. Maybe 20, 30. And then right, we can do like 100 or 150. Bottom, we can do 500. 600 maybe, even. Top probably could come another little bit, so 35. Oops. There we go. All right. So here are our small goals today. And just looking at kind of what we've done. We have this fairly massive operation here. I tried to add, what I wanted to do was add a frame rate counter. And I started looking into like rendering text, and there's a pretty decent OpenGL GUI library that basically comes alongside this OpenGL bindings that we're using, and it was outdated, and then I tried updating it, and everything was just breaking. So, yeah. So I've kind of had to opt out of using that for right now. So we'll revisit UI in a little bit. Stop. Quit being annoying. Here. Sorry, that dog's gonna bark at me until I finish my food, so just went ahead and finished. Basically, what we want to do, I think right now maybe is just add like some type of frame rate counter that's gonna just at least just print out in the console. That way we can kind of see where things are going. So let's just we'll do private, make this a double, and we'll just call it frames per second, and we'll make it equal to 0. Oop. And I guess, do we want to, we're already using a stopwatch here, I think. What do we set our frame time to? 16 milliseconds. I guess we probably need another stopwatch then, huh? So let's see. Where do we start that other one? Start. Oh, we start right here too. Let's do, so we can probably do the same thing here. And maybe our frame rate should just be like maybe the last 5. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make this. Let's just make this make an array. What is it mad here about this? Oh, we can just use the array initializer. We don't even need to use a new. So we'll just keep the last 5 values. And we'll start new here. Stopwatch start new. And then in our frame, in our update, just probably just want to add it here. We'll just do I'm overthinking this. We can really just use the old. We can really just use the old. We can use this. And then we'll do last update equals current time. But we do need this value. And so let's var delta equals current time minus last update. We need that value, so we'll just store that in a variable, and then down here, if we actually make it through the frame, then we can just append. You know, do we need to make it a queue, I guess? first in, last out. Yeah. Should make it a queue so it cycles them, not a array. I should have thought about that a little bit more in depth before I started doing this. Let me add this to my goals so we have. Well, this is weird. There. There. This shouldn't take longer. I mean, this is taking way longer than I wanted to. Anyway, my brain's just getting warmed up here. So really what we want to do, we just, what line are we on? 287. I don't like that. I don't like that convention, to be honest. We'll just set it to FPS samples like this. And then we're on 287. At this point, we just want them right. We just want to do if FPS count, it's not count, is greater or equal to FPS samples, then we'll just deck one. And then we'll always append, we'll enqueue this new value, this delta. So, okay. So this guarantees we always keep at least five samples in our queue, our queue of basically frame times. And we'll do this. We'll keep like a so we don't spam it. Let's keep like a we'll keep like an int count of like a frame count that we can mod by like 100 or something. So we'll do this. We'll do if let's see, we'll just do like a 50 frame or something. If FPS count or frame count plus mod, I don't know, 100 equals 0. Then we can frame count equals 0, and we'll do dump FPS. We could do oops. Oh, I think we can actually do an aggregate with link. Let's see. So we can do FPS add aggregate. I thought that there was a sum. I don't even think I need a selector. Do I? Yeah, I don't. Nice. Okay. So we'll just do var total. Actually, we could just do this. We can just do console write line, and we'll just write out FPS or average FPS. Probably not even average. We can just do FPS, and then we'll do FPS dot sum divided by max FPS samples, and that'll give us our frames per second. This is what we wanted to do with the text field, but we're not getting it anymore. So, what's up, dude? What do you mean it's black? I can see it on my stream right now. Those are actually milliseconds that it's dumping out, and that's dumping out really fast, to be honest. Oops. Forgot to comment that out. Wait, what? Where's user interface in here? Oh, yeah, there it is. No, it's not 16 FPS. It's 16 milliseconds is what it's taking. That's not actually per second. That's 16. That's 16. The other way we could do this is just measure out just measure out a second, essentially. I didn't even think about that. So it's taking an average of 16 milliseconds, which is like 30 frames a second, I think. No, maybe it's 60. Let's calculate. So 1,000 divided by 30. Oops. Other way. No. What am I doing? 1,000 milliseconds in a second. 16 milliseconds is like 62.5 frames per second. And it's bounded, like I'm bounding it to that. 16 milliseconds is basically what I'm forcing it to be. Yeah, you know what I need to do? I just need to do this. I just need to do this. I just need to keep a running tally of the frames, and then I can just check, essentially. Where's FPS? This is what we'll do. I won't even keep this. I'll just keep my frame count. I won't even track samples. I'll just do private stopwatch, and I'll just do FPS, our second timer, and I'll just do stopwatch start new, frame count. Let's do this. I'll do frame count plus plus. Actually, we're going to do it like this. Frame count plus plus. Like that. Because that's essentially how many frames we're drawing. Not how many we're processing. So I guess the thing is if what I can't ever tell, I think what we want to know really is we want to know the frames per second that we're rendering. And since we're capping that manually, that is inclusive. So really what we want to do here is we just want to check this. Let's check if second timer elapsed milliseconds is greater than 1000, then we shall console.writeLine, and we'll just say frame count. Because this is effectively going to give us the same thing. And this will be close enough. Second timer, and then we'll reset. What's it mad about? Oh, yeah. We no longer need this. I don't think that's right either. Oh, maybe that's just the first one. I would oh, did it reset the whole timer? I didn't know that. I didn't know reset would stop it. That's weird. Actually, this can be up here. What does reset stop it? Stops the timer, resets the countdown to 0. Can I just reset it with, I guess I can restart it. I don't know, that seems weird. Okay, there we go. 142. Oh, frame count's not resetting. That's why. Okay, the first one's always going to be low. So this is pretty good. 62, 63, 62, 63. Yeah, it's going to be around there because that's where we're capping it. The good news is that it's staying there. Okay, so that took way longer than I wanted it to take, but you get the idea. So let's just keep this here. Maybe let's abstract this guy out a little bit. We can probably just make it a static class. So it's not. Yeah, yep, it's generated. But we're doing it in the main class. We're doing it in, it's not a very organized, it's more of just a controlled test than it is an actual like nice reusable chunk of code that we can. So that's what we're going to work on today. It's kind of building something that's meaningful with that test functionality that we have. So let's just call this FPS. And we can we can just add something called like tick. We'll have a public static. Yeah, we could make it a this is not going to be any sort of fancy class at all. Just be aware. This will be our tick. If I can find it. There it is. Oh, we can't make that read only because we're actually going to add the start under start. Start.
Come on, kill me, I'm here!
Hey, thanks for the follow,
Come
man.
on, do it now, kill me!
And we'll just call it, we'll just add like an event here, just call it like we'll just call this, oh, well, we can use an action, I think we can. Public event action, and we'll just pass it a double, I guess. No, we'll pass it an int, and we'll just call this on FPS, I guess, on frame time calculated, whatever. And no, we should just call this on frame time, or on frame. I don't know. Fuck. I'm so I hate this. Whatever, on frame count. It's ridiculous, but let's. Oh, that's never going to be null. So let's just call it like that. Well, I just had that. Stupid. What? And then it's telling me, look at this. I love this. Oh, delegate can be simplified. Oh, I see. Excellent. So let's just do. We'll do second timer, stopwatch start new. The frame is just going to basically up our frame. The tick is what's going to determine whether or not we've enough times elapsed. The frame count's going to be what propagates it. So let's just add this really quick. Private read only. FPS and FPS. And then in our init somewhere, we'll just add this FPS dot on frame count plus equals, and we'll just do whoops, frame count, and we'll just do a console right line, and we'll do not a define FPS frame count. So we'll just have it print right here, and then this is where we'll call it. We'll do FPS dot frame, and we'll do FPS dot tick, and then I think I had like a first frame count. Oh, good. I don't have a frame count. All right. Just making sure. Oh, forgot to start it. Gotta start it. Got to start it. And then we'll just start it right here. Okay. I wish it would just put that window slightly to the right like that. So this is a little bit better. We just got rid of some of the like frame counting integers and state variables in there. Yeah, man. It's from Commando. It's like one of my all-time favorites. Although the soundbite gets cut off soon at some points. I don't really understand. It used to work really well, and for now it doesn't really. So I wanted to, so I did some, I looked at, I basically just read a lot this weekend. Kind of on some how we should approach some different what about Chatty? Chatty has an OBS plugin? Oh. Well, yeah, I know, but it's part of like the night dev. It's like, yeah, I guess, kind of. What I wanted to talk about was so I guess we want to do a few things in the future. Like I might do it tomorrow or Wednesday, but what we really want to do is we want to move into greedy meshing, which that's going to come later. And right now it's not a huge problem, but we want to move into greedy meshing because greedy meshing is essentially if I wireframe this, which give me 1 second. I think I can do. Let me. I think I can do. Let's see. I could probably make that a I think we just do GL polygon mode and material face probably just front and polygon mode line. I think this is yeah. So it's not very clear because it's still using texturing. But you can see all the lines. You can see all our triangles, right? I mean, these are all our triangles. You can see them all over the place. Now, what we want. So I'm gonna bust out paint just because I can. Because basically so far all of my illustrations have been pretty decent in paint. So let's just imagine that we're looking at it from the side. These are our triangles that it's rendering. How did I do this? Can do like a. I thought that I did this last time. Transparent selection. Ah, yes. Dude, Paint is such a terrible, terrible tool. I mean, it really is just so bad. I mean, it's cool that it works for what I'm doing, but like, so if we look at this like this, basically and it depends on what order. The order doesn't necessarily matter, but pretty much what our program's doing is we're creating a vertex here, 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 and here. And then when we draw this quad, we start here and we go, all right, vertex first, second, third, and that'll connect this. And then we do first, second, third, and then that'll connect again. So we're basically just drawing these quads. Now, if you greedy mesh, it's basically an algorithm that takes your quads and does this number with it. Actually, it'd be easier if I could just do this. It takes your quads and you run it, you basically pipe everything through an algorithm and you get this instead. So instead of a bunch of triangles that make up the big thing, you just get this one giant, quad versus 4 small ones. And let's label this because I think this is a simple but pretty telling optimization. And you can just imagine, now there is CPU expense to this, right? It's not free. However, it's not super expensive. Wow, I almost made those the same size. That's brilliant. However, it's a very fair trade-off in most cases. There may be a worst case scenario that's a little bit expensive, but we will definitely investigate that. This is something I want to look into in the future. So let me save this in our little documentation. The greedy meshing algorithm is also quite weird. There's something I wanted to look at today. I saw someone who did I'm like navigating through a blog right now. I want to find a better Perlin noise. We could probably look into it later. I just wanted to. It's irritating me. Okay. Well, I'm not going to figure it out right now. It's not a big deal. Okay. So let's rewind a little bit. What I want to do right now is remove polygon mode. We don't want to. We have our frame counter. Let's talk about just briefly. Let's just talk about data structures for storing chunks, because excuse me, what I think we want is something that the view, this guy right here. So I broke this out, I guess, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this. Basically, if each one of this is a top-down view of our chunk, this is our camera or our player or whatever, we want to basically have a data structure that moves chunks in and out based on position, but also has like a buffer, because we don't want it to remove things like immediately. We want things to be really far away when they are removed, but also like picture it like this. Picture this back guy as being not visible. And if we move this blue, if we expanded this blue radius out a little bit more, basically as we move, we don't necessarily want to unload those chunks, because you may just turn around and walk back, and we'd have to basically reload the whole thing. So what we really want is we want to force loading in a specific diameter or radius, and then we want to unload on a much broader radius. If that makes sense. So this is what we're going to do. So we're just going to make something that basically is just like a matrix of chunks, another 3D chunk view. So this is where our memory starts to get a little bit crazy. So let's do actually. And let's call this guy, let's just call it a chunk view. Can we? Or we can call it, yeah, let's call it a chunk view. I'm good with that. So, the obvious thing to do is to use basically our chunk and use a multi-dimensional array here. I'm going to do it like this at first, and we may change this later. But we'll just call this chunks, and we will, this needs to be, actually, let's kind of make this customizable here. But let's only allow it to be customized once. Let's make it so it's read only, and let's do chunk view, and then let's make this thing accept. How should we do this? Let's do a vector 3, and let's just call this min. This will be the minute, like basically this will be the guaranteed, like this is what we will load. These are like dimensions basically of what we will load around the player. And I think probably a good value for that will be like 222 or 212. And then vector 3, this will be max visible, and then maybe visible is not that's it's okay. And then I'm thinking, hold on. So if we go back to our illustration here, let me do that. Must load is that's implied. High priority is going to be our basically our anything within our min visible, and then lowest priority our max is going to be max visible. But this buffer that I'm talking about that we want to hold, we can, let's call it like, well, let's just leave it like this for now, and then we can talk about the buffer later. So our max visible is going to encompass everything, I guess. So chunks, and we'll make this, it's got to be an int. Max visible dot y, and int max visible dot z. Whoops, and what I meant to do was chunks equal new chunk. Okay, so that's going to create our view, and let's talk about position really fast, because this matters. Oh, hold on. I'll be right back. 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry. Now this is defining somewhat of a radius. I don't like these vector 3s, to be honest. So let's just do this. Let's do int. Let's do min x, int min y, int min z, int max x, max y, int max z. And that way we can manage this like so. Max x, max y, max z. And then I'm trying to think. Minimum is, let me look at how I did this before, just how I set this up, because I think I backed into it differently last time. Okay, this is what I did. This makes sense. So what I did was I actually just said pass in a radius and a depth and a size. This makes a lot more sense. And see, the thing that makes this so much different, though, I guess, is because what is size here? What is size? I don't even know what size is. Yeah, that's really weird. What is so size times radius? Let me check my I'm kind of confusing myself here because really what we want a finite size, but we also, if you think about it like this, we also want to have do I have another version of this? Hold on. Sorry, I'm off screen right now. Let's go with this. Let's just go with a radius for right now. Let's just go with a default, just a radius. And I'm trying to, let's see, what do we want to, we want to have a radius, a center, I guess, vector 3. We want to have a center. That's going to be where our player is. We're going to have a min visible and vector 3, and we're going to have a max visible, and then probably just maybe view dimensions. That's gonna, we'll be able to get the view dimensions, I think, from here, so it's not going to be that big a deal. But radius is going to be radius, and then View dimensions are going to be a new vector 3, and we'll just typically we wouldn't do this, but I'm going to do this. Wait, what is it mad about? Oh. And then radius. And then chunk view. Wait, we just call it chunks? Is going to be equal to this new chunk, and then I think we just want. I think this is going to be radius. This is going to be just our diameter. And so our diameter is going to include all of these, I think. Actually, the middle one's not. This could be just radius, actually. So we create that. Then we want our center just to for right now. We'll just make our center just an empty. We'll just put it at the origin, and I think that is just our no array expression. New vector 3. I think we just make this chunk width. Wait, we just had width. I think times radius. Chunk dot height times. Okay, let me. Actually, we can do this. We don't even. It's telling me not to do that, but I am. Just to be explicit, float min y equals chunk dot height times radius divided by 2. And then float min z equals chunk dot depth times radius by 2. We could probably move all this. Yep, let's do that. Actually, I was wrong. This is better. Oops. And then max visible, we'll just make it one more chunk outside. Excuse me, outside of the. So we'll just do min visible. Max visible is just going to be min visible plus one more chunk, basically. And we'll do float chunk dot width, float chunk dot height, and then float chunk dot depth. And I don't need. I keep forgetting they have one that accepts all integers. You just can't mix and match ints and floats. So we'll make that max visible. This is going to have too much complexity, I don't think, but really, let's see. We'll do public void update, and on our update, we'll just pass in our position. This will be like our player position. See what does that what does that do if I hold on? I don't like how it shows my history. I don't really want history right now. If I have like, let's say I have like 50. If I, is it a programmer's calculator probably? Yeah. God. So let's do 50. Is it right shift? Four. Wait, really? I guess so. What is that going to do? Put it into chunk coordinates, I think. So let's see. 50 divided by 16. Yeah. 50 divided by 32. Yeah, that's giving me the chunk. It's gonna be integer. It's basically gonna be integer math. So we wanna find the center of this thing, and we want to take this giant view and we want to center it on where the player says that they are. So let's see, if I'm at position 50 divided by 16, then we say, I think we said if we go back to not standard programmer, if we go to, well, they just put a right shift on the programmer one, 50, and we'll do a right shift 4. So if we had 50, can we do right shift 8? No. 50. This is why using 16 is a good value, because it's a perfect square and not 32. If we use 32, but hey, Be Compact, how's it going, man? Sorry if I'm a little late there. 7 minutes late, actually, to responding there. You were hiding. Your chat was hiding behind my window. I'm going to steal these because this is exactly what I want right here. We want these chunk. We want these to be chunks. This basically just returns the length of those. And then I think probably have a public vector 3 center get turn center. This will be good. I think it's going to want me to simplify all this stuff, which I can probably do. That's fine. What did we say our view dimensions were? This is like our half dimensions, actually. We basically just want to do some integer division, I think. So let's... So yeah, let's do that. Let's calculate this as like a off x, and this is going to be our position. We'll cast this. This is why sometimes I just wish we were using integer vectors. And if I decide to do that, I'll do that off stream because that's just grunt work. It's basically just making an int only vec3 so that we can do basic integer math on it without having to worry about floating points and all that garbage that they can carry around. So basically our offset, what we want is for our offset is basically going to be taking a world position and getting a chunk position. And if you remember, our chunks are basically positioned, they will be positioned in the world in increments of 32 or whatever we set our chunk width to. But if we look at our chunk, our width, height, and depth right now is we're just doing a 32 by 32 by 32 chunk. So if you each pick, like, so one location of a chunk would be at the origin 0, 0, 0, and then the next one would be 0, 0, 32, and then 0, 0, 64, and then 32, 0, 32, and then 32, 0, 64. Like it would just they move in increments of 32. So that's why everyone asks the question, and I just responded to say, why not C#? Because people say that, and it's like, why not C#? And if you can give me the answer to that, then I'll explain why. It's not making me salty at all, by the way. So I'm not offended by your question. I want people to think when they ask that question because I feel like there's it's a loaded question. It's making assumptions early. I love C#. I love C++ as well. And I tell this story pretty much every single episode, but I prototyped the whole thing we're building now in C++, and I think I wanted it to be easier to follow. And that's why I chose to do it in C#. At the end of the day, we're not missing out on anything by using a managed language. And in some cases, we can make it, I guess a little bit more portable if we keep it in C#. Now the GL bindings still have to bind to native libraries, and so we're always going to be dependent on native libraries. But in a way, we can be a little bit more portable. And now we're not using DirectX and we're not doing any of that stuff. So OpenGL is nice, and C# is nice. And can't forget that like XNA, you know, a couple of years ago, well, about 10 years ago, was a pretty amazing engine. XNA really got me into game programming. I was locked into the C and C++ world of game engine programming, and I kind of moved away slightly from that. So what we want here, I want to figure out what this is. Chunk local. What is our local? Okay. Not yet. It will be though. Well, there. Okay, so there is Mono, which is a portable version of the .NET framework. Runs on Linux and OS X. Hold on 1 second, please. Hey, I'm gonna take a little break. I have to go. My son fell and hurt his leg, so my wife needs me to go look at him real fast. But I will be right back. Okay, sorry. I don't know if anybody's still there. If you are, I apologize for taking so long. He's okay. He's just being a little bit of a. He's just being a little bit of a dramatic. He's just being a little dramatic. All right, so I only have like 5 or 10 minutes left. So this is not really going to be. Okay, so really and truly what we're doing here is we're just going to take this position, the chunk position. We just, this is actually a lot easier than I was thinking about this when I ran away, but essentially what we want to do is we want to take these view dimensions and we want to offset them by the position. So essentially what we're doing is we just need to take we'll call this offset, and it'll just be position minus, and then we'll do view dimensions, because our view dimensions is, well, actually, sorry, it's going to be our view dimensions times, is it going to be times? I have to think about this a little bit, and we are going to have to iterate through all of this. So we'll do x equals 0, x is less than chunk width plus x, and then for var y equals 0, y is less than chunk height plus y for z, var z equals 0, 0 is less chunk depth plus c. So our chunk will just set to chunks and then xyz. If null not equal chunk, or we can just do if null equals chunk, then we'll just continue. I guess we can do a half chunk. Let's do a half chunk. So we'll just do a half chunk helper here. Jesus. Chunk.world plus half. This is just going to put us, we're going to try to align it to the middle. To the middle of our chunk position. We'll just say to check is going to be this position. So max visible. We need something that can how would we add Yeah, I don't want to go any further because I feel like well, so you know that it's not frozen. I wonder how we're going to get chunks interview. That's basically what I'm trying to figure out is how do we get chunks interview? I'm gonna do the mantis. It's not my arms, is it? Are you saying that I look like a mantis with my arms? Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mean to get so locked up this morning either. My brain is just is somewhat fried, man, from the weekend. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit because I'm not actually following the prototype in this case at all. I've gone a little bit off the prototype plan, and I need to think about this just a little bit more because what we really want is we want more of an adjustable view. We want to basically have things there first, and then as we navigate, have the view just tell our chunk loader and unloader to add or remove things, if that makes sense. Basically, this thing should just tell us what to load and in what order we should load them, if that makes sense. And right now, what I'm trying to actually do with it is a little bit different. And I don't think that I necessarily want this. This is basically what I'm trying to do here is combine the structure that stores the chunks and also the view of those chunks. And what I really want is something that just tells me what chunks to load, and then I can load them and store them in a different way and not in the same class. I need to decouple that. I need to decouple that behavior and loading and unloading and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do next time. I'm going to pretty much revisit this entire thing. I got to think about how to describe exactly what a visible and invisible, what our view actually describes in terms of our player position, and then translate that to chunks that will load. And then once we can describe that, then loading and unloading is easy because that's what we're already doing basically in our main class with this basic test case here. We're already unloading and loading, right? I mean, this is already working. So all we need to do now is figure out how to best make meaning of this unloading and loading. So the idea is that when I move around, as I move, you'll see chunks popping in and out of the screen. Anyway, so I'm going to say that's it for today. We didn't really do a lot. We talked a lot, and I left a sitting monitor with no activity a lot. But I'm gonna have a better game plan for tomorrow, and we'll continue from there. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Got to roll. Talk to you later.